Man, I sure do wish my parents would let me get more fish tanks. What are you talking about? All my tanks have a purpose. You've got my 9-gallon pencilfish jungle, you've got the self-sustaining Wallstad Dario bowl, you've got my black water, and then you've got my Anacris Empire Jarnary. Hey, I don't like to talk about that tank. Yeah, you make a good point. If I just thought of some sort of identity for that tank to have, they'd see a reason for me to have another one. Man, how do you always give the best advice? What to do for the 10-gallon? What to do for the 10-gallon? I feel like I could do something with this. Alright, I've got the stupidest idea ever, but I'm gonna do it. So what is the idea I have with this tank here? Well, if you look here, I have some wild plants. This isn't the only cup here. And I've collected these over the course of the last week or so. And this has just been sort of a desire to make this tank a bit more lush because it's definitely lost some of the lushness it once had. However, that wasn't enough for me. And I was thinking back to when I rescaped this initially. In that video, I added this glass Coke bottle. Then I was thinking back to a tank I've seen at the local Vancouver Aquarium. Now, I can't find a picture of this tank online, but I'll show some similar images on screen. Essentially, the idea with these tanks is to create, it's like a social commentary sort of thing. It's like pollution's bad, so here's a tank with pollution in it. And I thought, I haven't seen this with freshwater before. This tank needs an identity. Why not make a trash tope using random bits and bobs, and I think it could be pretty interesting. So that's what we're gonna be doing today. Now, right off the bat, I'm gonna say that this tank is already not the most ideal version. The ideal version of this tank for me would be an actual biotope of like the local environment using like local plants and local fish. However, the Anacris, at least some of it in there, is actually wild collected. I've seen hornwort around here, and floaters definitely go around here. So I think, you know, we can kind of make the argument. But then you're thinking, okay, well, how about the fish? Well, first of all, it's funny because, you know, some of these fish are considered pretty ugly. I have a little backstory for that. Smash swordtails. Gotta get all these damn fish out of here. Come here, you. Get in there. I think the cutlery is the best sort of thing we can do to make this look trash related. Now, I have one issue that I didn't think about. Will these sink? Okay, so we're gonna have to work around that. So here I was just, you know, putting in the different bits of cutlery while my fish kind of swam around, really confused as to why I was putting cutlery in here. That's a decent start. Now already, I think this just looks hilarious. Like, when have you seen a tank like this? So that's definitely not enough. And what I've also got are some straws. Got one colored straw here. I think that'll work pretty well. Put that towards the front maybe. Prop that under the wood. You can see the crypts are actually growing. I added those recently to kind of cover up the bottom, and I think we're also gonna use some leaf litter for that. So here I'm just adding a jar because I thought, you know, a jar would be a cool addition to the tank. I had it lying around, never turned it into a terrarium. Thought, why the heck not? It'll look cool. How to increase your gallons, just add a jar. I also like the idea of the straw because, I mean, I've already got the plastic theme going to make it trashy. You know, you hear a lot about using paper straws instead of plastic straws, so I thought it'd be a funny addition. I'm gonna add this third glass thing in the corner just so we have like a little triad. And yeah, for those of you that didn't figure it out, the triad is because, you know, you got the Coke bottle, the new glass jar, and then I thought I'd add this one. And again, this was just another thing I had lying around that didn't become a terrarium. I added a knife because, you know, the cutlery theme, I wanted to complete that. It seems stupid with just a fork and a spoon. I've got this like filter cartridge thing that I'm not using. I figured that would look kind of trashy. One of the biggest problems with this tank is that all the plastic things try to float a lot, so I'm constantly shoving them back into the gravel or like on pieces of driftwood. Okay, now we're gonna add some leaf litter to make this look a bit more natural. I have a bunch down here that I cleaned off. just recently to put in my black water, and now it's going in here. So I added some of this natural leaf litter that I collected from outside to kind of contribute to this idea of this being, you know, a local biotope, even though it's very clearly not, even with my strange story I've presented. To further add to this, I've got some wild plants I've collected. There's some milfoil in here, and what I did is I kind of just broke off pieces that I wanted to use because I wanted to keep some on standby for future projects. And then I took these over to the sink and rinsed them off to get rid of any pests I wouldn't want. And then what I did is I searched through the water to collect any aquatic isopods or scuds because I kind of wanted those in my tank or, you know, in a jararium project or something like that. I then added all these plants to the aquarium, and you can see the milfoil kind of has a shiny look underwater, and that's because it is it grows in a riparian setting. This grows out of the water. I have seen how the leaves look underwater in a jararium I had, and it's interesting, but I haven't seen that in this tank, so not sure if that's gonna ever happen. But I kind of just kept adding these different kinds of plants I collected at various locations to kind of help to add to the natural aspect of this tank. Now I will warn you that a lot of these plants melted, and that is due to the light. The light on this tank was terrible. I have since replaced it, I'll show you guys at the end, but the light unfortunately meant a lot of these plants died off very quickly, which sucks. But if you do think about it in nature, if you've ever looked at a actual like natural setting, most plants don't look super well like established and grown in, you know what I mean? Like when you see those jungle tanks that are absolutely beautiful, if you look at like nature, they don't usually look like that. But personally, I like my lushness more than my accurate to nature plants, so I'm gonna kind of just stick with that. You can see here I've added some locally caught hornwort, and as well as some anacris. And again, this was just to add to the lushness. And while it did die back quite a bit due to, you know, the lighting situation, it's starting to grow again, and I'm hoping it can take over my tank again because it is an awesome plant. It looks really nice, and I really like it. The overall goal of this tank, I'd say, is to create a trash tope that is actually attractive. I wanted this tank to be like a beautiful jungle with some bobs of trash thrown in them. I didn't just want like an ugly tank, right? Because one thing I've noticed from looking around through nature is that you will see like areas that are polluted, but they still have plants and stuff. Like they still look good, and that was kind of what I was trying to accomplish here, is that obviously pollution's not a good thing, but sometimes you can get these cool environments where there is like pollution present and the animals are still managing to live. Like one time I found a plastic bag and it had an ant colony in it. Now I freaking hate ants, but it was kind of cool. It was like, wow, the ants have taken over, like we took over nature, they took it over. I don't know, it's some stupid thing like that. And I've captured this idea kind of before. I've made terrariums where like you can still see the label, so it's like nature took back over man. And I'm sure I've done some similar ideas before, but this was kind of the best concept of this I've ever put forth, in my opinion. Now, I just want to get this out of the way and say this isn't an art project. I'm not looking, well, this is an art project, but I'm not looking to give some sort of social commentary here. This isn't meant to be like some piece that discusses the ins and outs of why pollution's bad or anything. This is just me making a silly identity for my tank, and I hope people can get behind that and understand that that's just what this is, and I'm just trying to have a good time and, you know, use materials that aren't going to actually harm my fish, you know. I don't think these forks or straws are going to cause that much of an issue. You know, I keep up with my water changes. I don't know how much they're really going to leach into the water, but hey, I will keep you guys updated with any problems that I face in the future. Now, my final stupid idea was to add a can. Now, the problem with this is, crack this open, some dumb fish is going to try to swim through that hole and cut itself up, right? So we couldn't have that. So I was trying to think, okay, how am I going to deal with this issue? So the obvious solution was to, well, first of all, drink this can. But then it was to grab a little knife and kind of make a hole in the bottom. And in doing this, I was able to remove the liquid from the drink without actually, you know, opening the top. Now, this is just an example. That's why you could see all the way through. This is just an example. The one I did this after I actually completed the process, but I wanted to show you guys how it was done. So then what I did is I put this over a glass and basically just let the liquid drain out over the course. It took a while, and then I, you know, drank the liquid, and then I squeezed the can so that it could have a more sort of organic shape, I guess. You know, whenever I see a can, you know, tossed into a waterway, it seems to never be like a perfect can. It tends to be crushed or something. And I wanted to capture that as well. Now, I know it would have looked way cooler with it open, but Francis, say hi.
Hi.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna put the the soda can in the tank. Now I wanted the soda can to be sort of a central focus to the tank. I kind of wanted your eye to look towards that and then go between all the glass bottles, so I thought the back corner was the best place. Now, I had problems getting this thing sunk, unfortunately, because, you know, it didn't have much of a way of water to get into it, so it actually wasn't sinking. So I actually put some sand into it, and then I positioned it between some driftwood. Now, I'm not too happy with its location. It looks okay here, but currently it's actually floated up a bit, so I need to rearrange some of the driftwood a bit to make it look proper again. One of my friends suggested I use a Dr. Pepper can or something red so it stands out more. And I might do that in the future, but for now, I'm keeping it like this. I think it looks cool. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the look at this trash tank. I hope you enjoyed this strange project I decided to take on. And you know, in the next few coming weeks, I'm going to update you guys on this tank a bit more, and it's going to be quite interesting. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'm just going to end this off by showing you guys how it looks with the new light. So here's the trash tank now. There's a new light on the top. It looks a little weird right now because I added some tannins, but trust me, it's a lot brighter, and my plants already seem to be growing, and we'll see how it goes in the coming weeks. But yeah, the other light's gone. It's off vibing in some alternate dimension. But yeah, that's the trash tank, and I'll keep you guys posted, and I'll keep you guys, you know, seeing my other weird projects. Maybe I'll put this in there. I was thinking of turning this into a terrarium, but you never know. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and that's the trash tank.